Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the Daily Market Insight for Monday, the 20th of September. All right, now as we come into this start of the trading week and the Asian session here, now we did see the US Treasuries firm up at the end of the week. Now I've just got up here the US retail sales figures was the real catalyst last Thursday. Much stronger numbers. It looks like, it's not really the absolute peak of the top tier numbers, but inflation just slightly off. Retail sales bounces back aggressively and the dollar's in full control, and that Fed tapering situation is very much on the table. We've got the Fed this Wednesday. It's going to be a major key driving factor. If they stick to the plan and maybe announce some sort of tapering measures, or as I said, if they stick to the plan, then the dollar should just continue to rally. And we are seeing the correct setup. Okay, Treasury yields increase, equities get hit, right? And the dollar block, they fall, and the dollar pairs, okay, they rally. And that's exactly what we're seeing at the moment. So to me, until we hear something different from the Fed, this is the profile of the market. Okay, it's another short term, which could lead into a medium-term trend. That's all we've got at the moment. So just focus on the numbers. And as I said, the Fed meeting will release this Wednesday will determine the next major significant move. And I hope they do start to bring in some measures, because what we're seeing across the board is, a fresh surge of US dollar momentum. Okay, so the top side really driving the dollar block down. Dollar Swiss has really jumped into gear, as has dollar CAD, right? Dollar yen, well, it's back in the range, but it's not like shooting out of the park like all the other major pairs. So now what you're going to do is you sort of piece this together, right? When is momentum going to really kick in? And trying to piece that together, it does come back down to the economic fundamentals. And we've got a big week, obviously, the Federal Reserve on Wednesday, the Bank of England meeting and announcement on Thursday, and there's a few other things in between. But one thing that this is a good time, because when you do start to see a big move potentially coming, you need to check your longer term charts to see what the overall long-term picture is, right? Whether it's sentiment, direction, or just, get a clear picture of what's going on. The good thing is, right, just with the latest blip down, right, in the last month or so, we had fresh lows here on the dollar block. Now, these are going to be the foundations for our support levels on the downside. And so we've got some pretty good things. Like, as far as the bull bear line there, Euro has already sort of drifted down below that. And we've got a key level it's coming up to just in the low 117s. Sterling's right at that level as well, but the bull bear line is below. Aussie's gone down through it, and Kiwi's got a bit of work to do there as well. Now, the Kiwi's holding up a little bit more because the RBNZ are expected to raise rates if the New Zealand lockdown, if they come out of lockdown. But you know what? The longer that stays in lockdown, it probably screws up the economics and probably takes away, at least for a few months, the potential for the RBNZ to raise rates. Now, one thing that looking at dollar index, prime for another move up. Here's dollar Swiss, right? It's done a fair bit of work, grinded through the first level of resistance, then the second. It's now at the third level, but it looks ready to pop as well. And also I could see dollar CAD going up through 128, 20-ish there, all set for the top side. So longer term, if the Fed do stick to the plan, well, these pairs should continue lower, right? And I would be thinking this is the only real solid trending instrument or pair or currency, I should say. So with that should come probably new lows for the year, right? Or new highs for all the dollar pairs. That's how far I think I can see this going. It's just a matter of being patient. Of course, the market's getting prepared for a long dollar move again. We have seen these flush out in the past, but don't get put off by that. If you're not confident, if anything, you decrease your trade size. But this is what's happening, because if you wait too long for these situations to sort of really fill out and you do get the answer, well, it's usually gone and it's in the middle of the range. So just having a look here through the calendar, right? So you got to piece this together where the major momentum will come in, right? So there's a few housing numbers, a few there's 3 series of housing numbers, new home sales existing. I think then the pending, the Swiss National Bank, don't worry too much about that. Actually, what an easier one to look at, I find sometimes if you're just looking for a calendar to get a bit of a glimpse, Forex Factory has one good calendar, FX Street, Daily FX, there's a few good calendars out there. Now, just to start the week, right, it's a bank holiday in China and Japan, bank holiday in China on Tuesday as well. So the Asian session without Japan in particular is usually reasonably quiet, right? So just bear that in mind as you come into Wednesday. It's not going to kick off too quickly. Now, the Canadian elections, definitely worth keeping an eye on. Like, change of government usually isn't massive, but you know, that can always change. The monetary policy meeting minutes on Tuesday for the RBA, definitely something to focus on there. Although, you know, half the Australian economy has been locked down for the last couple of weeks or months, so I can't see them doing too much. Now, this is where things pick up, right? You get the Fed, okay? There's the conference, the rate announcement, the statement, right? Hugely important event. The Japanese holiday, probably should keep the Asian session pretty quiet on Thursday. Then you got the Swiss National Bank, right? And then also the Bank of England. So we've got a number of big things coming out. The Eurozone, the good thing is here, we've got some German and Eurozone numbers, right? That could give us a bit of a look in. All we need is these numbers to go with the current movement. So what we were ideally looking for is weaker Eurozone German data, and then we can start to piece it together, or stronger US numbers. That's the other part to it, right? So Canadian retail sales figures, we saw how important or how big an impact the US retail sales figures had on the markets last week. That should be the same for Canada. And with dollar CAD screaming to the top side, really weak numbers there leads us into a much easier trade. German IFO numbers coming into Friday, and we finish off really the major key thing, Fed Chairman Powell speaking on Friday. So that's where we are. This is a big week. The major focus, as I said, will be Wednesday, right? We should have a lot of answers here about the dollar, whether it's going to continue to rally or sort of just drift back into the range. That's the key component for us, right? Then after this event, we have a number of key macroeconomic data releases. Of course, the Bank of England is going to be very important for us. Canadian retail sales, etc., as I just explained. So we've got really good structure, right? Especially with these US numbers coming out on Wednesday, it gives us a good opportunity to get some dollar sentiment, direction, and then we can start to sort of really lash out and capture those moves. Now, ideally Monday, you've got to be tuning up your charts, right? Come back through, and I haven't really adjusted these charts since last week. You can see Euro down here on support. Same with Sterling. Aussie's already sort of just tweaking through that level, and Kiwi's coming up to a level as well. On the longer term charts, we saw dollar Swiss was at a level up here. So check your hourly charts, check your daily charts, find out where these key levels are. Wait for momentum to come in. As I said, Asian session today, Chinese, Japanese holiday. Probably you'd think it'd be pretty quiet, especially when all the focus is on the US and the Federal Reserve. All right. So it's a really good time to piece it together. So if your schedule is quite busy for work or family events, maybe try and just clear your schedule a bit around the Federal Reserve announcement, at least, right? That's where the major driver will come from. And then following on from that, I would expect if we do get something good out of the Fed, hopefully it's some mention of tapering and the exact timing of that. We should get dollar strength, and then we can really overlay the rest of the UK releases, Eurozone releases, Canadian releases, etc. So lots of pairs due to come online this week. It's pretty, it's even a bit more exciting than just the CPI numbers, which fizzled out, really didn't give us too much. All right, guys, that's it from me. Big week. Keep an eye on the Fed. Wednesday is your key day. All right, have a good one. Cheerio.